Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today it's time for another thank you next at the beginning of each month. Um, we're taking a look at a deck that I have in my collection, or that I still have in my collection, but I um, don't work with it anymore, either because I couldn't connect to it right at the beginning, or I could connect with it and love to work with it, but now I have the feeling that it's time to pass it on because of the leaf changes, because of um, yeah, changes in the way that I wanna, yeah, that I like my Oracle decks now, or just because I have the feeling that I work with a specific deck so much that it's now time to pass it on to someone else. And today, and a disclaimer first, this is not to um be an asshole to the deck creators or to the publishers or to the deck itself. I mean, I ordered them because they're beautiful decks, and not every deck can connect with or is a perfect deck for everyone. So it's just that I wanted to share my specific experiences, or that I want to have a format on my channel where I can talk about those decks where, and we all have those experiences where it's just time to pass them on. That it's not, this is not about that I think this deck is horrible or it's absolutely bullshit or something. This is just that I couldn't connect to it, or um, maybe I loved it once and now I don't anymore, because I think on TerraTube there are a lot of, and I do them too, there are a lot of videos where we talk about the decks that we love and that are awesome, and there are a lot of awesome decks out there. And that's good to share those as well. That we're really passionate about, that we love and stuff, but it's also good to have a little bit of a format where we talk about the decks that are still awesome decks, but that we hadn't the perfect experience with. So that it's not just to focus on, oh my god, I need this deck, but also, maybe I should also declutter my deck collection. Or maybe, yeah, get the focus on that too. Do I need this deck really? Would I work with it, or is it just because of the artwork? Or do I have a deck in my collection that um is similar to it, all that stuff. So just a little disclaimer here. So today we are going to take a look at the Eternal Crystals Oracle cards by Jade-Sky. This was published by Blue Angel, and there are 44 cards in there. Um, I'm not sure if you can still get this deck. I mean, it is mass produced. Um, but I believe you can still get it. But I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. So this deck is an awesome deck. It has awesome artwork. It is Blue Angel quality, so you have a beautiful, really sturdy box with thumb holes to open it up. It's beautiful on the inside as well. You have an guidebook with it as well, which is nicely bound. It even has the fold. You get an introduction, how to prepare your cards, instructions on how to use the cards. You even have some spreads in there as well, and then you really get a nice amount of information about each of the crystals or each of the cards. It's one page. with even a little black and white image of the card itself, and it's beautiful. If you're a beginner in terms of crystals or working with crystals, or you just want a crystal deck in your collection, I think this is a beautiful deck as well. And you can order it perfectly. Quality wise, it's perfect. In terms of guidebook, in terms of box, the cards are glossy, but they're quite thick. They feel sturdy but still flexible. They shuffle well. I believe that they stuck together at first, but they were very easy to separate without damaging any of the cards. And now that I have them separated, they shuffle nicely. The issue that I have with this deck, and I found that it's not only with this crystal deck, but I think with every crystal deck that I took a look at, it's a personal issue. It's nothing that the deck creator or the deck itself is wrong or is not good. It's just a personal issue because I work with crystals for a really long time. Let me show some of the cards to you while I ramble on about it. So these are the bags, beautiful bags, and these are the fronts. So you have a collage image of the crystal, of the texture of the crystal and the color of the crystal, some silhouettes or some stuff collaged in there as well. And you have a small picture of the crystal. They are numbered, the name of the crystal, a keyword, and the chakra association. So you have a lot of information on the card to work with. Um, yeah, the issue that I have is that I work with crystals. Crystal work was the first spiritual work that I did way before I started to read cards or anything else. I collected crystals since primary school, and I read about them, I researched about them, I worked with them since then because since primary school I was interested in spirituality, energy work, and all that supernatural stuff. Um, so it's like 15 years now that I collect and work with crystals. So I have my own personal understanding of each of the crystals, my own personal associations for each of the crystals. Um, so it's always quite tricky for me to find a crystal deck that has, and it's almost impossible. I mean, this is only my personal interpretation, my personal um, associations, and my personal experiences. So to find a crystal deck that has my personal associations, keywords, chakra associations, and stuff for each of the crystals in there is almost impossible because everyone has their own experiences, their own associations. And I know that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I have a deck and I pull a card, a crystal, and there's a keyword on there that I don't ever would associate with that crystal, then I'm like, this doesn't work for me. Because I could then work with this crystal and use my own associations and my own experiences with it, but there's still the keyword on the card. So if I work with another person, they see the keyword on the card and are wondering why I come up with a whole other keyword with a whole other interpretation and stuff like that. Um, so that is the first thing. The second thing, because I know a lot about crystals, I have a lot of crystals in my collection, and I researched it not only in a healing crystal way, but also in a geological, mineralogical science way. I research a lot and I know a lot about them as well. Is most often in those crystal decks, there are crystals in there depicted, but not in a really realistic way, just to make the cards look more breathtaking or stunning. The colors are more intensified, they're more lighted up, they're more or even colors put on there that is absolutely impossible for that crystal to look like if it's a natural one. And that is just, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I know that this crystal doesn't look like that in a natural form. But if you're a beginner, and that's a pet peeve of mine, if you're a beginner and you're looking at this and you're going, oh my God, this crystal looks so beautiful. I didn't know I don't have this crystal. I want one because of how it looks. Yeah. Or I didn't know that this crystal looks like this. Then I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't look like this. And I'm really passionate about that because I believe that the crystals are so beautiful and are miracles on their own, the way that nature created them. Why put in another thousands of filters and set more saturation and other colors on them? It's not necessary, and it's just confusing for those who are beginners. It was confusing for me at first, because to know how the crystal really looks like, if it's this crystal or not, if it's natural or even treated or dyed or colored. So it's really confusing. And that's the other one, the other problem that I have. So in this deck, it is like the carnelian here. Carnelian. Carnelian is a quartz and it is in the red tones more, but more in the orangey kind of tones, orangey brown tones. A carnelian, a natural carnelian would never look like this in this really intense saturated red where you can't even see a little bit of orange, it's just completely red. So this is not a carnelian. There are red agates out there which are not dyed, which are natural. They have that red tone, but a carnelian is not that red. So it's just oversaturated or even not a carnelian at all. um, or just oversaturated or filtered that it looks more beautiful and more stunning. But that's, I don't get it. A carnelian looks awesome the way it is. Or then there are other ones like moonstone, this card, and you see this stone on there. And that is not a moonstone. And it took me a while to recognize that. At the beginning, I believed that this is also moonstone and that there are different qualities of moonstone out there. So the normal moonstone, which is more on the opaque, translucent side of things, more milky white with just a sheen of white reflection or stuff in there, is the lower quality. And then there is this more transparent one, which a lot of those blue um, effect on it. And this is the higher quality. And there are some sellers out there that sell those stones as moonstone and as the higher quality of moonstone, and they will tell you that this is the higher quality of moonstone and that you can't find that quality of a moonstone really often. So they will sell it to you more expensive and you will buy it because you believe it. But this is not moonstone. Moonstone is like more translucent, not so transparent as this stone, and it has a more it hasn't this very intense blue effect to it. It could have an effect to it, definitely, and also a little bit of blue, but not as intense. If you see this stone with this like more like an labradorite blue effect to it, and it's more transparent than some of your moonstones, then it's not a moonstone, and it's not a higher quality of a moonstone. It's a white labradorite. Yeah, there are white labradorites out there, and they're actually quite easy to find. So they're buying white labradorites and sell them to you as the higher quality, um, not so easy to find moonstone for a more expensive price. And when I see a deck that has a white labradorite as moonstone in it, this just feeds that belief and that false information. And I don't get it. It's just like, oh my gosh. And as a beginner, you wouldn't recognize that. You would just believe it. And there's even some out there that are like, I have more opaque piece, more natural piece, actual moonstone, which I can connect to. And I didn't believe that I could connect to moonstone because when I see those, they're not on my, they're not, they don't speak to me. I can't connect to them. And that's like, and they're surprised that they could connect to moonstone. And I'm like, yeah, you couldn't connect to this one because this isn't moonstone. It's so frustrating, you guys. And then you have others like, um, tourmaline or obsidian or calcite. It's nice to have these in here, but it's like which tourmaline, which obsidian, which calcite. I think they mean the standard black obsidian. With this, they mean the black tourmaline, especially with the meaning, but then right on there black tourmaline and not just tourmaline. And give us some more variations, especially with obsidian or with calcite. There are a lot of different varieties of those two out there that you can get. Um, with tourmaline, I can understand why there's only black tourmaline in here because the other colors are quite more difficult to get and quite expensive. Um, but with obsidian and calcite, there are a lot of varieties out there that you can afford to buy, and they all have different abilities to them, different energies. And then there are cards like this in here, especially like pipestone, cinnabar, Charisite, Zincite, and Oakenite, which are crystals that you can't find. They're more rarer. They're not like beginner crystals, like they're easy to get. You can find them anywhere, and um they're more on the cheap side of things. But then, so it's not quite easy to get those. So why put them in there? Or if you decide to put those in there so that the deck is also fitting for someone that has worked with crystals and has a huge crystal collection with more rarer crystals in there, um, then put also crystals in here that are for beginners. So they have these varieties that are rarer, but there's no like smoky quartz in here, or no like sunstone, or what else? The varieties of the obsidian or calcite, or no jasper, which are quite easy to get and quite affordable and easy to work with, and they're not in here. But then putting something like this in here. So that are just pet peeves of mine, that I can't look over And so this is a beautiful, gorgeous deck. It has an information in the guidebook and on a card that you can jump off of. The artwork is beautiful, especially the backgrounds are so stunning what they done with it. Um, but it's like I can't work with it that way. And I know that it's quite impossible to make the perfect crystal deck for me, because, like I said at the beginning, it's personal experience what you associate with the different crystals, and there can't be every crystal that is out there in one deck. Um, but that is just why, even though I started the whole spiritual journey with crystals and collecting crystals and working with them, and I'm an absolute crystal lover, I still collect them. I have them all over my room. I still work with them. I don't have a crystal deck in my collection, because every deck that it's out there, I have some issue or another with it, just because of my knowledge, of my experiences. Um, so I decided to make my own. Because then yeah, that's the only way for me to have a crystal deck in my collection that will function for me. Um, And that's the reason why even though I love the artwork in this one, um, that's the reason why I say goodbye to this and why I didn't order another one. I am now in the process of making my own, and it's quite fun to do so. And yeah, this was the Eternal Crystals Oracle Cards by Jade-Sky, um, and Blue Angel Publishing. It was a mass-produced deck. I'm not sure if you still can get it. Let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts about this deck. Do you like it? If so, why? Do you have any crystal decks in your collection that you really love? Maybe I didn't hear about them, so share them down in the comments so that I can take a look at those. Um, and yeah, do you have the same issue with crystal decks, or maybe with plant decks, herb decks, or stuff like that? If you work more with plants or something like that, do you know that issue? Put all those down in the comments. I would love to read about those topics. I would love to hear about you. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, you guys, bye.